Hi, welcome back to our talk on character. I'm John Patrick Hickey, and we are now talking about the tools that we can use to help develop that good character. Once again, remember, developing character is a deliberate act. It doesn't just happen, you have to make it happen. We develop good character qualities, but these tools are not the qualities themselves. These are tools that will help us develop those character qualities. These are things that will help us to better understand and reach out into the ability to change these things within our life, so we know what it is that we're working on, how it is that we need to focus on a particular area, because those areas are going to change with each one of us. So the first one is making decisions, and decisions is probably the best way to start because it is the starting point of all. The only way you're going to make a good character decision is to make a decision. And decisions are often confusing to people because we aren't sure of how to make a decision. You know, we all are familiar with people telling you that you can make a good decision or bad decision, and if you don't make a decision at all, then you're making a bad decision, because no decision is a decision, and it can get real crazy. But the fact is that you are making a decision by not making a decision. But when you decide to build good character, and I'm going by the assumption that from this point on, we're looking at, yes, that decision has been made to make good character. So you're making a decision, let's say that you have a particular area that you want to focus on in working in your life. And this concept of working on particular areas, making decisions that you want to improve a particular area, is nothing new. Matter of fact, let me encourage you to read the autobiography of Benjamin Franklin. It's, besides being a really good read, it's very interesting. He was quite an incredible human being. But he talks about the 13 virtues that he believed he needed to develop in his life, and why he needed them, and how he was going to work on doing them. And he set forth deliberately trying to develop these 13 virtues in his life. That is where we need to be, in making that decision that we have to make those things happen. Now, here's a problem people have with making decisions. They think, okay, I'm going to make a decision that, let's say, you have a tendency to always be late, okay? Now, people think that not being punctual is not that big of a deal. It is a big deal. For one thing, people who are not punctual, that says a great deal about how trustworthy you are. If I can't depend on you to be on time, how can I depend on you for other things that are important? So punctuality is a very important part of character, and you need to function on that. So let's say that you want to really work on being punctual, and so you're making that decision that you're going to work in that area. So you make the decision today. Now, people often think that tomorrow you're going to wake up and you're going to make that decision again. And then the next day you're going to make that decision again. Well, that's not how decisions work. You make it once. Just once. And what I want to encourage you to do is, when you make that decision, I want you to write it down. Write it down on a piece of paper, and we're going to work a little more on after you've written this down in our next talk. But when you write it down, exactly what it is that you want to achieve, that you have it concrete, that makes it tangible. That gives you something that you're working with. See, if you just keep it in your mind, if you keep it in your head, then it's going to change. The human brain's a wonderful thing, except it leaks. And you hold a thought, and that thought's not going to stay the same. That what I plan and decide today is going to be different tomorrow. and it's going to be different the next day. And every time I look at it, it's going to change because I have different information, I have different feelings, it's all different elements that go into it. Make that decision, write it down. Then every single day, all you're doing is maintaining that decision. You can always go back to it and look at it and say, this is my decision. This is what I'm going to do. Now, you have to adjust along the way. You don't change the decision. You might change your approach. When a plane leaves from New York to San Francisco, then that plane is not going to fly directly from New York to San Francisco. It has a route, it has a flight plan that it follows, but it's off course. Most of the time it's in the air. Why? Because of other planes, because of storms, because of winds, so many different things that can cause it to get off course, but it's always being adjusted. It's not off course in the sense that they're lost. It's off course because they're adjusting as they go along. They still make it to the destination that they had planned to make it, and hopefully they make it on time. So that it's a simple case of adjusting along the way. The same's true with our goals and our decisions that we make. When you write it down, it gives us a destination. That doesn't change. We'll make adjustments along the way, and we'll talk more about those as we go along. But making those adjustments does not change the destination. But if you don't write it down, that destination has a tendency to move around. And once that happens, you never make the decision right. So, let me encourage you, right now, before the next video, I ask that you would sit down and write out a decision. Make a decision what it is that you want to do. Just one. That's all. Well, let's start with one. Make a decision of what you want to do. Write it out. That decision is made. And we'll take that decision to the next step in our next video. Until then, this is John Patrick Hickey for the Growth Center, and I do want to encourage you to live your purpose and change your world.